This week, open warfare broke out between two Republican senators and President Trump. Jeff Flake joined Bob Corker in questioning the president's fitness for office and announcing he, too, won't seek re-election next year. Their criticism highlights the growing debate inside the GOP about the future of the party. Joining me now, Ohio's Republican governor and a frequent Trump critic, John Kasich. Governor, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I want to start with some of Jeff Flake's speech on the floor of the Senate this week. Here it is.
We must stop pretending that the degradation of our politics and the conduct of some in our executive branch are normal. When such behavior emanates from the top of our government, it is something else. It is dangerous to a democracy.
Governor, do you agree with the senator that the conduct of the Trump presidency is dangerous to our democracy?
No, I don't. I wouldn't go that far. What I would say is what people are frustrated with in the country is the fact that it doesn't likely anybody can get along with anybody down there. I focus on the policy things that I agree with the Trump administration on and those that I disagree upon. And I've never gotten into the, sort of questioning people's motives or their competence. I'm very concerned about policy. And Chris, really what's happening inside the party is there's a debate about whether the country should look inward and kind of withdraw and take care of itself, or whether the country ought to look outward. And these involve issues of trade and immigration and our relationship with our allies. And the most interesting thing that's coming, Chris, that you should focus on at some point, now that I'm the producer for your show, is that we are seeing the rise of millennials and Gen Xers in the 2018 election. They are now going to equal the baby boomers. And what does that mean? They think profoundly differently than what this inward-looking group of Republicans care about, because they care about the environment. They don't want to focus on all these social issues. They understand America's place in the world. They're comfortable with global outreach. It's immigration, another one. So what's going to happen over time is that the Gen Xers and the millennials are going to begin to overtake the baby boomers, and it will mean a profound shift in the way both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party function. And the question is, to some sense, they're up for grabs, because right now they're leaning independent. And the question is, who appeals to them? I happen to think the outward approach of our country is the better one.
Well, I'm going to get to specific issues in a moment, but I do want to pursue this question of the philosophy of the Republican Party, because Steve Bannon and his supporters say, well, look, sure, Flake and Corker made tough speeches, but they basically, the bottom line is they announced that they're quitting and that there was silence from most other Republicans. So can't one argue that what you call the inward-looking, the populist, nationalist wing of the Republican Party is taking over?
No, I don't think so. I think the bulk of the Republican Party, and I've been in the Republican Party since I was a college student, is one that believes in the fact that America has a place in the world. Reagan talked about it, advances humanity. I agree. I think the bulk of the Republican Party does believe that immigration provides energy to our country. I think that the bulk of the Republican Party believes that America is special and has a place in the world at which to advance freedom and free enterprise and all those things. I think that this move towards nationalism or looking inward, a lot of loud voices, but I don't happen to think it's the bulk, and we'll have to see over time. But for that debate to some degree is going to be settled by the demographics in the near future. Maybe not today, not tomorrow, but soon it's going to be decided by that new wave of new thinking by these young people who can bring a lot of energy to the Republican Party and the conservative movement.
Well, let's talk about some specific issues, because this isn't going to be played out at least until the next election in terms of broad philosophy. Republicans are going to unveil their tax plan this week, and according to reports, there are going to be big cuts in corporate taxes. There's going to be a dramatic hit to the debt, perhaps as much as $2 trillion increased national debt we're going to be taking on. Is that the right way for the party and the country to go on tax policy?
Well, look, Chris, here's the thing. You need to have faster economic growth. Our economic growth over the last couple decades has been anemic, and that means people can't get work. That means that we don't have growth and opportunity and all the things that people want. I favor a tax bill. Our corporate taxes are too high. We can't compete as effectively in the world, and some companies just hightail it out of America because of that. So I do think we need a tax bill. When it comes to how do you pay for it, you know, I think in that case, I happen to believe that entitlements have to be reviewed. And it may be separate from the tax bill, but it needs to happen because debt is going to swallow us up if we're not careful. In our state, I've been able to cut taxes, but I've been able to state, because we have a balanced budget requirement, to be able to pay for them. In order, instead of spending more in government, we gave money back to people. As a result, in Ohio now, we're up 490,000 private sector jobs since I've come in. That's up from a loss of 350. So lower taxes does matter. Better regulation matters. I think that's why the market's doing better right now, is because the Trump administration has been moving away from stringent regulations and more common sense regulations, and that's helped our economy to grow.
On immigration, the president says he's willing to make a deal to protect the so-called dreamers, people brought into this country as children. But in return, he wants funding for his wall, and he wants tougher, more stringent limits on legal immigration. Your reaction?
Yeah. I don't agree on really ratcheting down the number of legal immigrants that could come into this country. Immigration has always been sort of high-octane power for our country. It brings people in with a lot of energy and a lot of new ideas. Of course, we have to have a secure border. Everybody believes that. But to begin ratcheting down the number of people who can legally come here, I don't support that. And in terms of DACA, these kids who came here, one kid told me the other day he came when he was 7 months old. I think he's now 27, and he's worried about what's going to happen to him. That's nonsense. Just let the pressure off those young people. They're contributing to our country, and the DACA thing should not be part of a negotiation. Let them stay in America. You don't have to give them citizenship, but let them stay in this country if they've been law-abiding. They're contributing.
We began with Senator Flake's speech on the Senate, and I'd like to end with it. Here's another clip.
When the next generation asks us, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you speak up? What are we going to say?
So, Governor, when the next generation asks...
I've spoken up more than anybody. I mean, but mine is not personal. Mine is policy. And I look at what we've done in Ohio, Chris, and here's what we've done here. We're not at a party that cuts anybody out in Ohio. My administration has included everybody. If the top does well, the people at the bottom ought to have hope. And as a result of that, I still have high job approval. My last re-election was overwhelming, and I'm a believer that everybody should be given an opportunity, not just those at the top, but also those who are struggling to get ahead.
But,
and
Governor,
I believe that's the best approach
Governor,
for America.
if you feel so strongly about the direction of the party, and you don't like the way some people in the Trump wing want to take the country, I have to ask you, I've asked you before, why not consider at least running for president in 2020 for the Republican nomination against President Trump?
Well, because, Chris, this is like 2017. I'm trying to be the best governor I can be. And I'm not thinking about what's going to happen. What's going to happen with me politically, I have no idea. There's such upheaval in the country right now. No one knows what's going to happen next week. So, look, all I want to do is contribute to bringing a calm voice that involves inclusion and everybody growing. Where that's going to take me, I really don't know. But I can tell you at this point, I'm not plotting or planning anything like that, Chris. That's just not where my head is right now. I am going to be a voice for the new generation, the next generation, and for what has traditionally been strong in the party. And I'm going to do my best to promote that. And you know what? I think it's going pretty well.
Governor Kasich, thank you. Thanks for coming in today. Always good to talk with you, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Up next, we'll bring